Thus, 5/1, guidance regarding the training and qualifications of tanker personnel, person with immediate responsibility. So the term person with immediate responsibility, as used in paragraph and 5 regulations of 5/1, thus 1 and paragraph 3 of regulations 5/1 to 2 means a person being in a decision making capacity with respect to loading, discharging, care in transit, handling of cargo, tank cleaning, or other cargo-related operations. So, in this, you need to familiarize the training for all tanker. So, and number 2, all tanker personnel should undergo familiarization training on board and, where appropriate, assured before being assigned to shipboard duties, which should be given by qualified personnel experienced in the handling and characteristics of oil, chemical, or liquefied gas cargoes as appropriate, and the safety procedures involved. The training should at least cover the matters set out in paragraph 3 to 8 below. So let's discuss about the regulations. Knowledge of the ship's rules and regulations governing the safety of personnel on board the tanker, in port and at sea, health hazards and precautions to be taken. Dangers of skin contact, inhalations, and accidental swallowing of cargo, the harmful properties of the cargoes carried, personnel, accidents, and associated first aid, list of those and don'ts. So for the fire preventions and firefighting, control of smoking and cooking restrictions, sources of ignitions, fire and explosions, preventions, methods of firefighting, portable fire extinguishers and fixed installations. For the pollution preventions, the procedures to be followed to prevent air and water pollution and measures which will be taken in the different stages. For the safety equipment and its use, the proper use of protective clothing and equipment, resuscitate those escape and rescue equipment. For the emergency procedures, we should be familiarized with the emergency plan procedures on board. So what are the proof of qualifications? The master of every oil, chemical, and liquefied gas tankers should ensure that the officers or the persons primarily responsible for the cargo possesses the appropriate certificate issued or endorsed or validated as required by Regulations 5/1 to 1 paragraph 3, Regulations 5/1 to 1 paragraph 5, or Regulations 5/1 to 2 paragraph 3 as appropriate and has had adequate recent practical experience on board and appropriate type of tankers to permit that officers or persons to safely perform the duties assigned. So what are the guidelines approved regarding the onboard training? General, the purpose of qualifying a shipboard service is to provide training and knowledge for the safe carriage of specific tanker cargoes, to satisfy the experience appropriate to their duties for the type of tanker on which they serve, referred to in Regulations 5/1 to 1 paragraph 4.2.2, Regulations 5/1 to 1 paragraph 6.22, and Regulations 5/1 to paragraph 4.2.2 on board training. Should, number 1, emphasize practical hands-on experience and be relative to the employment of the seafarer. Example, the training of deck and engineering departments may be different. So, there's a difference for the deck and engineering departments. Because for the deck, they are in charge of the operations on the open deck, while the engineering, they are handling the pumps or any accessories that you can found in the engine room. So number two, be under the supervision of personnel qualified, experienced in the handling, characteristic and safety procedures of the cargoes being carried by the vessel. So for this one, the under supervision of personnel qualified, before you load any cargo, mostly chemical, they will provide you the material safety data sheets, how to handle this kind of cargo, and what are the dangerous or toxic that you might encounter in this kind of cargo. So number three, be on board the tanker carry products relative to the tanker certificate of proficiency endorsement being sold. It should be such that the specialist equipment is prone into operations but maybe on the ballast passage between cargoes for parts of that period. So in this paragraph, there are so many kinds of tankers. We have the oil tanker, chemical, the LPG, and of course, you need the certificate of for what kind of tankers you are going on board. And number four, take part in at least preloading and discharging. So it means you must be part of preloading and discharge operations at least 3 times. And number five, at least over the matter set out in onboard training criteria in paragraph 19.12. The onboard training program must be in no way affect the safe running or the seaworthiness of the vessel. So let's discuss about the onboard training program. The training should be carried in supernumerary capacity. Example, the trainee will have no other duties than that of undertaking the training program and emergency duties. The program of onboard training should be managed and coordinated by the company which manages the ship on which the seagoing service is to be performed and be a vessel nominated by the company as a training vessel. So, 15, at all times, the trainee should be aware of 2 identifiable individuals who are immediately responsible for the management of the program of onboard training. The first of these is qualified seagoing officers, referred to as the shipboard training officers, who, under the authority of the master, should organize and supervise the program of training. The second should be a person nominated by the company, referred to as the company training officer. So remember this, the company training officers, that is the one nominated by the company and different for the qualified seagoing officers. So this one referred to as the company's training officer who should have an overall responsibility for the training program and for coordinations with the training organizations. And next to that, the training shall be provided with an approved training record book to enable a comprehensive record of practical training and experience at sea to be maintained. The approved training record book should be laid out in such a way that it can provide detailed information about the tasks and duties which should be undertaken and the progress towards the operations. Duly completed and countersigned by the master, the approved record book will provide unique evidence that the structured program of onboard training has been completed, leading towards the issue of a relevant certificate in advanced training for tanker cargo operations. And during the approved onboard training program, the trainee should be instructed in the loading, discharging, care in transit, handling of cargo, tank cleaning, or other cargo-related operations of the tanker to ensure that the experience gained is at least equal to that which will be obtained in 3 months normal service. The next, if the pre-loading and pre-unloading criteria cannot be achieved within the 1 month onboard training period, then the period of onboard training should be extended until these criteria have been satisfactorily achieved. So, what are those onboard training criteria? The onboard training should at least provide knowledge and experience relevant to the applicable tanker type. So, let's talk about the safety. Safety for all tanker types. Ship safety management system. Cargo-specific firefighting equipment and procedures. Cargo-specific first aid procedures, including the medical first aid guide, or what we call the INFAC, to use in accidents involving dangerous goods. Ship's cargo-specific hazards, including smoking regulations, oxygen, depleted atmosphere, cargo hydrocarbons, narcosis, and toxicity. And together with that one is the risk assessment system and permit to work, including hot to work in enclosed spaces, entry procedures. And of course, the last is the use of personal protective equipment. That is one for the safety in all kinds of tankers. So, let's go to the LPG. LPG, the liquefied gas tanker. This is additional safety for the LPG. Dangers and precautions related to handling and storage of cargoes at cryogenic temperatures. Of course, the constructions, cargo tanks, and pipelines. And then, for all tanker types, additional is the hull, tank constructions and limitations, and cargo connections. For these cargo connections, it depends also in what kind of tankers you are loading. The chemical in the oil is, of course, almost similar, but LPG is different. So for the properties and hazards associated with the type of cargo being carried, including use of material safety data sheet, and the risk that cargo operations such as parking and gas spraying, tank cleaning may have on the accommodations ventilation system and actions to mitigate this risk. For this parking and gas spraying, after your loading, after discharging, and then of course you have to clean your tank. This, you need to gas spray the tank so that it will reach the amount of oxygen that individual can go inside the tank. But of course, it is included in the tank cleaning. And for the parking is normally used for the toxic content of the cargo tank. Of the parts, this is to bring out the toxic content of the cargo tank. And for the configurations of cargo and ballast system, pumps and associated equipment, especially equipment associated with the cargo operations. So particulars of the tankers constructions and how this affects the cargo operations. And additional for LPG gas tanker, use of segregations, separate and airlocks to maintain gas safe areas. So cargo tank, enter barrier, insulation spaces in pipeline, relief valve, and vapor system. So, for the cargo vapor compressors and associated equipment, then next is the trim and stability. Of course, trim and stability is very important because you will not like to leave the port when you have a lease or either port or starboard, or you are down by the head. This is the problem if you don't have the knowledge for the trim in stability. And let's say for all tanker types, tanker stability information in calculating equipment. Importance of maintaining a strict level with acceptable limits. This is included in the trip stability, because in actual, you will use the graphing for the stress level within acceptable limits. If you can find, okay, let's see, what is this? It's something like this one, or sometimes you have this one. This is the sheet. You can find the stresses here, stresses there, or here, or here. It depends on how you distribute your cargo. So this is example of how you can know about your train distress level. So dangerous resurface effect and the slashing effect. Resurface is different. For the resurface, okay, this is an example. This is the top. This is the top. So this is on top. This is the bottom. Resurface is below the cargo top up to this level only. So this is your resurface. This is one. This is the cargo, and this is the bigger space. And connected to that, you have the slashing effect. So, if this is the cargo that it was, the vessels become a heavy sea. So, this cargo, then it will be like this. So, ito yung resurface mo ngayon. So, ang slashing effect mo, papunta rito. So, there is a tendency that it will damage your tank on your vessel. So, if the vessel is swinging this side, this way, so ganun din ang nangyayari. Ito ang slashing effect na sinasabi. The pressure is going here. So, pressure is also here. This is sometimes the cause of the damage of the cargo tank or any vessels. So, for the cargo operations in all cargo types, pre-planning of loading in transit care, discharge ballast operations, and of course the record keeping. You have to record everything about the startup, stopping procedures, including emergency shutdown. So, emergency shutdown, if you have to board the vessel, you can find this is in red color. Emergency stop. So, you just press this button and it will automatically close all the valves in use. Okay. But for the manual, you have to close those main valve. So for the discharging cargo, including draining and stripping operations, of course, if you are discharging the cargo and it cannot be pumped with the main pump, you will use the stripping pump. So about the monitoring of cargo during loading, discharging operations, including sample where applicable, tank gauging, and alarm system. To give you an idea, okay, this is your tank, and this is the unit stand here, or somewhere in the center, and this is a pipe. This like this. So tank gauging, this is what we call unit jigging. Unit jigging, ang ang sinusukat ko ngayon ay itong space na vacant. Ito ngayon sinusukat mo kasi may certain na measurement dyan. Kasi this is the bottom, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. Ito ngayon yung sinusukat mo. Ngayon, ang soundings naman, ang ibigay ito nakalutang siya. Ito lang balik ang sinusukat mo. Free space. Pag sounding, sinusukat mo yan, simula dito sa ilalim. Ito ang sounding na sinasabi. Yan. So, different of sounding and unity. And then, let's go for the where are we now? Dangers from electrostatic discharge and its preventions. Normally, there are some kinds of oil that produce electrostatic charge. It is normally happen during discharging for loading. Because if you start loading for this kind of cargo, you should start on minimum pressure. Then, if the level of the tank level reaches at least in 1 meter, then you can proceed to the maximum pressure or maximum loading rate. And electrostatic discharge, it is happened also during tank cleaning and from the heavy tanker. It is also dangerous for this kind of electrostatic discharge. So, if you are already on board and as an officer, so even you are not an officer, you can remind the duty officers that once it is lightning, you have to start. They have to stop the operations. For ballasting and deballasting operations, of course, ballasting, you need this if you don't have the cargo, and deballasting during operations, discharging operations. So, maintenance requirements including coating inspection. So, let's talk about additional requirements for chemical tankers. Polymerizations. What? Polymerizations, cargo compatibility, tank coating, compatibility, and other reactions. Polymerizations, this is the process which sometimes your cargo is being spoiled. Polymerizations, because ang polymerizations, kinakailangan mo rin ng inhibitor para sa klase ng cargamento. And also, for the cargo compatibility, there are so many cargos that they have different content. Let's say this is your tank. This will be divided. You cannot load. If this is reactive cargo, then this should be empty. Ito, loaded ka, loaded, but ito dapat empty. Para hindi mo nalaman ng reactive reactions ang klase ng gagamento mo na hindi compatible. And also, the tank coating compatibility, not all kinds of paint accept a chemical cargo. So, you can load only, depends on the type of tank coating that you have, unless your tanker is stainless made. So, the functions of inhibitors and catalysts, ito na nga yung pinakailangan natin gamitin sa klase ng gamit natin. And for the vapor and gas dispersions, ito ang napaka-importante sa chemical, LPG, hindi lang kahit sa lahat ng klase ng tanker. Kasi, I will give you an example of this for the vapor gas dispersions. Okay. Let's say this is your chemical. So, there is something very here. This is what we call the release of vapor. So, from here, ang vapor niya ibabaw ng deck. Kaya kailangan may regulations din niya at may control din siya. That time, when you release unless it is automatic pressure release. So, additional, let's see additional for LPG polymerizations, as the same carbon compatibility, tank-coating compatibility, and other reactions, and function of inhibitors and catalysts, causes of back pressures and pressure surge effect, use of burn of gas of fuel, and vapor dispersions, parking and cool-down operations, operations and maintenance of pre-liquefaction equipment, understanding and use of custody transfer system. So, this now let's talk about additionals for the oil tankers, for the crude oil washing system. So, tank washing, including of course, and for all tanker types, we are using the tank cleaning system and equipment fitted on the tanker, pre-planning of tank washing, cleaning operations, tank washing procedures, including parking and unearthing, controls of slabs, waste product, electrostatic hazards, cleanliness requirements, maintenance requirement, and for additionals for chemical tankers, of course, the removal of inhibitors and residues, the use of absorption cleaning agents and detergents, and this is additional for the LPG, hot gassing burn of liquid residues and the gasification process, inert gas system, and inert gas system is another area how we use on the vessels. This is normally if you see inside the main engine room. So ito pa, dito sila nagkaroon ng inert gas going to deck para mag-supply sa mga tangke. Yan, ganyan ginagawa, fast road. Ito ang makina nila. So, ganito ang supply ng inert gas. Ito sa makina mismo, then magsusupply sa mga tangke. Mahaba ang inert gas system, but just give you an idea where it can be produced. Okay? So, for another safety for all tankers type, so inerting system, hazard associated with emerging spaces, with particularly refers to safe entry into tanks, parking, maintaining inert atmosphere and gas spring operations, and pollution preventions in control. Okay, that is for today. See you on next sessions. Okay, good day, class.